Cool, thank you very much, and thanks very much everybody for inviting me here today. I'm going to be talking about Tech Mums, which is my initiative with my company Savify, which is all about getting the UK and then hopefully the world tech savvy, starting with mums. So I don't know if you know much about my background, but my talk's going to be kind of about my personal journey and how I've ended up where I am today. So I've had like a 20-year career as an academic computer scientist, but starting up my organisation now and trying to help everyone understand the benefits of technology has kind of grown out of, I think, where I started. So I'm going to kind of share some of that story with you so that you can see, I think, why I've got to where I am today with what I'm doing, and hopefully see why it's important that I'm doing what I am doing today. So someone asked me a while ago, when did you first know that you were a geek? So I definitely am a geek. And then I thought about, this is me, in case you didn't recognise it. I look almost exactly the same now, don't I? But this is me at about age 9. And so I was thinking, when did I first know I was a geek? And I was thinking back, you know, kind of like to when I was a kid. Did I do geeky things? And I thought of me at about this age. And I used to get probably about 5p a week pocket money. Actually, it would have been in old money, so it would have been like sixpence or something a week pocket money. And I used to save up my pocket money every week. And on Saturdays, maybe about once a month, we'd go to the shopping centre in Basildon. And I was desperate to go into WH Smith so that I could go and buy some maths textbooks to take home because the most fun thing that I could think of was doing maths puzzles. So I guess really I was probably born a geek, and definitely by the age of about 9 I was definitely a geek. So my family was reasonably traditional, had a brother and sister, we were all growing up together, my parents are both nurses, everything was reasonably normal. But then what happened was when I was about 12, or when I was 12, my mum died, and about less than a year later my dad remarried, and our lives kind of went into a bit of turmoil. There was some sort of, it wasn't a great time for us. So from the ages of about 13 to 16, it wasn't a very happy time for me. And as soon as I was 16, I left home and I left school and started working. So I had been planning to go to university, but that all kind of went out the window. I started working, did various different jobs, and then at 20 I got married and had my daughter at 21, and then I had twins when I was 23. So this is me at age 23 with 3 children under the age of 3. And, excuse me, oh gosh, I'm really sorry, but I've just had a cough and a cold, so I'm really hoping I don't cough too much. So at the age of 23, there I was with 3 small children, and then a year after this photo was taken, my marriage broke down, I split up with my ex-husband, and became a single parent. So I found myself at the age of 25 being a single parent with 3 children, living on a council estate, thinking to myself, how on earth am I going to provide for these 3 children? I left school when I was 16, I don't really have many qualifications, I'm not going to be able to earn very much money. If I go out and get a job, I'll probably be just above minimum wage. What on earth am I going to do? So basically what I did was I went to Southwark College, I did a maths course at night school, and that got me university entry. So then I did, I couldn't decide between maths and computing, but in the end decided on doing computing at South Bank University in London. So I did a degree there, and in the final year of my degree, one of my final year project supervisors asked me if I was interested in doing a PhD in formal methods, it was then. And so I said to him, yes, I'd love to do a PhD. And what he didn't realise was I had no clue what a PhD was. So it wasn't until I actually went out the room and looked it up, I was like, oh yes, I really would like to do a PhD, when I found out what it was, because I'd really enjoyed the research that I'd done in the final year. So basically then I started a PhD there and became a full-time academic, and basically have had an academic career since then. So, I'm really sorry, I've got to get a drink of water. Sorry. Thank you, I think I'll hold it. Thanks for that. Oh, that's better. Right, so there I was. My children were growing up. Everything was working reasonably well. I had an academic career. I was doing a PhD, and that went really well. As part of my, I guess, my kind of life skills that my PhD supervisor was trying to teach me, he said that you must go to conferences in academia, in research. It's not just about publishing papers. You need to get out there and talk to people. So I'd been to a couple of academic conferences, and because I started in formal methods, I then moved into software engineering. But formal methods is, well, the first conference I went to, there were about 190 men and about 5 women. There weren't very many women in the room. And that's not an issue per se, but I did feel like as I was kind of going around in my academic career, there weren't that many women around to talk to who were in the same sort of area as me. So one of the things that I did while I was doing my PhD was to set up a network for women in computing called BCS Women, to connect online women so that they could chat to each other, technical women, so they could chat to each other if they wanted other women to chat to. And so that was very successful. Representing that group, I went up to Bletchley Park for the first time in 2003 for a meeting, and ended up wandering around, after our meeting at the Mansion House, ended up wandering around Bletchley Park and talking to a guy called John Harper, who at the time was rebuilding the bomb machine at Bletchley. And through my conversation with him, found out that more than 10,000 people worked at Bletchley Park. And for some reason, in my head, I kind of had this idea of code breaking and Bletchley Park as being maybe about 50 kind of old guys wearing tweed jackets, smoking pipes, sitting around doing the Times crosswords and a bit of code breaking on the side. So when John told me that more than 10,000 people worked at Bletchley Park during the war and that more than half of them were women, I was really surprised and wanted to raise awareness of the women's contribution and also the contribution of everybody there. So to that end, I got funding for the Women of Station X project, which was all about the female code breakers that worked there, the women that worked at Bletchley Park. And at the launch of the Women of Station X project, the director of Bletchley Park gave a talk in which he said that Bletchley Park were having financial difficulties. And so I thought that was wrong, that we should be supporting Bletchley Park, and so I started a campaign to save it. And the first thing that I did was to email all the heads and professors of computing in the UK and ask them to sign the petition, which was then on the 10 Downing Street website. So this was back in 2008, which they did. So I sent this email around thinking, I wonder if anyone feels the same way that I do. We've got to do something about Bletchley Park. Sent the email and looked at the online petition on the 10 Downing Street website a few hours later and saw all these very famous heads and professors of computing from around the country, and then realised that it wasn't just me, lots of other people felt the same way. And so what I did from there with a colleague was to write a letter to the Times and ask all the heads and profs to sign it, which 97 of them did within a few days, and also contacted the BBC. So here I am here. Contacted the BBC saying, I think this is a story, Bletchley Park needs your help. And basically, Rory Keflin-Jones from the BBC got in touch and said he'd like to run the story. And I found out later on, I didn't realise at the time. So it was amazing. We got on BBC News and the Radio 4 Today programme. But something that I found out afterwards, probably about 2 years later, was that the only reason really that we got on was that Prince Charles and Camilla were going there the next week. And so when the BBC found that out, then they thought it was a story, because it wasn't just me saying we need to save Bletchley Park, but also Charles and Camilla were going there the same day. So it's one of those kind of lucky things where things just come together and work out. And the fact that it was July, so there probably wasn't very much news either, because it was in the silly season. So, but anyway, it worked. So we got Bletchley Park in the national press and on the BBC News. And so the campaign, so that was amazing for that to happen. I probably got about 150 emails that day from people around the world wanting to help save Bletchley Park. But what I realised just a few days after that was that if you get something in the news, it doesn't mean that it's there forever. You get something in the news one day is not news the next day. And most stories are, sort of they're here today, gone tomorrow. So after that, I was trying to work out how on earth am I going to keep Bletchley Park kind of up in the public consciousness and start gathering together people who are interested in helping to support Bletchley Park. And it took me some time to work it out, but gradually I realised that the best way to do that was using social media. So, sorry, I've got another drink. So, a few months later, I'd started using Twitter and kind of realised that actually maybe this was the way to try and make this thing that I wanted to happen. So I started tweeting about, and I think even before I started tweeting about Bletchley Park, I had the words Bletchley Park in my profile, and some people found me on Twitter and said, we want to help you to raise the profile of Bletchley Park, what can we do? And that was before I'd even tweeted about it. And then so I kind of got used to using Twitter over the next couple of months. And then I was just sitting there one night, watching Twitter, working on my computer, when I saw this photo at the top of Stephen Fry stuck in a lift in Centre Point in London. And so he tweeted that picture and said something like, we've rung the alarm bell, we've tried phoning everybody, we're stuck in this lift, we can't get out. We thought we'd try tweeting a photo of ourselves to see if that would help, to see if we could find anybody. And at that time, he had about 220,000 followers on Twitter. So I suppose probably one of those people might know someone who could sort out the lift in Centre Point. So he tweeted that picture, and I looked at the picture and I thought, oh, hang on, Stephen Fry. I wonder if he's interested in Bletchley Park. He seemed like the sort of person that might be. So I googled Stephen Fry Bletchley Park, and some quotes came up. So where he was saying things like, if Bletchley Park were to close, it would be like Nelson's column falling down. So it was obvious from that he would be on side, I suppose. So I sent him, luckily he was following me, so I sent him several direct messages that night, and kind of went to bed thinking, I wonder if anything will happen. And then the next morning, I think about 10 o'clock, actually it's probably got the time on it, but I can't see from here. The next morning, I then get an email saying Stephen Fry has tweeted about you, and so that's his tweet up there on the screen, pointing everyone at my blog. And so going on to the BBC News, and all of the publicity I got with that and the Radio 4 Today programme got me about 150 emails from people. I'd started blogging about what I and other people were doing around Bletchley Park, and my blog had normally got about 50 hits a day from people. And when Stephen Fry tweeted about my blog, or pointing people at my blog, I got 8,000 hits that day from Twitter of people reading my blog. So it kind of, just really quickly, it helped me to realise that the best way to publicise things used to be going on to national TV, and obviously it still can make an impact. But to me, this new thing, Twitter as it was then, could be really, really powerful already. Within just a few weeks of using it, I'd found a key influential person. I'd managed to interact with them without any sort of barriers in between us. And they'd, in just a few hours, something that I'd done had meant that they'd done something which had then brought 8,000 people to my blog. So that kind of blew my mind a bit, and was interesting and kind of fundamental in the campaign, and helpful in my learning and kind of understanding that things are starting to work in a different way. We're not going to be doing things in the same way forever. Things are changing. And it also kind of brought home to me how, if you find the right influential people, they can really, really help you with whatever you're doing, because you get to reach a bigger kind of target audience. So key influencers are really important. And so that's a few years ago now. Lots of people got involved with campaigning for Bletchley Park, and some great things have happened. This slide is just to show, I suppose, that I've had a successful academic career. Here I am talking in Brazil and different places around the world. And so my career has gone on for several years. But a couple of years ago, I decided that I kind of needed more than an academic career, I suppose. And so that's what made me decide to start up a company, which is called Savify. So in its first kind of, forgotten the word for it, its first kind of guise was I started up an organisation called the GoTo Foundation, and the idea was to help everyone in the world to get tech savvy. And because I really believe that understanding technology, we can kind of see the future. People that don't understand technology, that don't see all the opportunities that there are out there, they can't see it. And the way that technology is portrayed to most people in the media is quite negative. So like through my career, when I've, so not in my peer group, but kind of outside of my peer group, meeting people and people say to you, what do you do? And if I say computer science, which is the sort of thing I would normally say, people seem to either think that I'm too clever, so they couldn't talk to me, which is not true. Really boring, so why would they want to talk to me, which might be true. Or they would talk about big government IT systems that had failed and wasted taxpayers' money, or they might ask me to fix their PC because it was always breaking, or it's all negative stuff, always. But to me, from when I started off in technology, I always thought that technology is the future. It's the most exciting thing that we have. And for me, I think if we use it right, we can sort out so many problems in the world today. So to me, technology has always been a very exciting, positive, kind of like vibrant thing, which is offering all these opportunities. And yet, almost everyone I seem to talk to around me that wasn't kind of in the same peer group as me seemed to think it was a very negative thing, and kind of mainly came up with negative stories about technology and how they'd interacted with it. So I really wanted to try and do something about that, to show as many people as possible that there are massive opportunities for individuals, for organisations and for whole countries out there using technology if we just think about what it can do and how we can kind of harness the power of technology to make things happen. So I don't know if you know this sketch. It's from Little Britain, like a comedy show on TV. And does everyone know Little Britain?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, right. So this is the Computer Says No sketch. And I think this kind of typifies in my mind, this is what I think the average person thinks about computing. They just think it's boring, that it doesn't really do anything for them, and why would they bother being interested in computers or anything like that, because what did it ever do for them? So with what I wanted to do, I wanted to try and kind of flick a switch in people's heads and help them to see the potential and the opportunities for themselves. So computing now in the sort of digital age, I think we're in the middle of the digital revolution. Lots of things, there's lots of inventions, lots of creativity, there's lots of new ways of doing things, and I think it's similar to the Industrial Revolution back 100 years ago. It's a time of great change and of great opportunity, and I thought it was quite funny, these photos. We've got kids, kids working in I don't know what that is, like a cotton mill back in the 1800s. And these days, we could have kids working on iPads now, and we could get them, we could use them as the new workforce, I suppose. Even from age 2, we could probably get them doing something. And pay them in biscuits or something, I don't know. But so I think there's a kind of a parallel between the Industrial Revolution and now the Digital Revolution, and I think there are loads of opportunities. At the same time, there's a massive amount of jobs available. So, and there's a massive skills shortage, and it seems like we've got lots and lots of people unemployed. We've got a massive skills shortage, and the jobs are all, there are so many jobs in technology or around technology, and they're not necessarily for programmers, but they're for people that need to understand technology to a certain extent. And surely, couldn't we do something in Also, so providing opportunities for people by reskilling them in technology, so helping people who are out of work to understand technology better so that they could fill the gap in the skill shortage. So I came up with this kind of circle, almost, to kind of try and break that down into pieces. And so I started off, so with my startup, which was called the GoTo Foundation, my idea at the beginning was we need to get people excited about technology, let's start with kids. So we went into schools and we did stuff with kids and we got them all excited about technology, but then realised if those kids then go home and their parents are negative about technology, we didn't get very far. So actually starting with kids is not the right starting place. So after some time of thinking about this, I thought, well, why don't we start with mums? Because if we start with mums in the family, for various reasons, I think that will work very well. So if we think back to kind of Stephen Fry being a key influencer, well, I think mums are the key influencers in the home. So if we get mums on board with what we're doing, we'll get the whole family. So we target kids, we just get the kids. We target mums, we get everybody. We probably get the extended family as well. And also, mums will probably chat to each other if they're coming across exciting things that they can do. They'll talk to each other about it as well. So the word will spread pretty quickly. So it's a good place to start for that reason. Also, we need more women in technology. And if we start with mums, not necessarily those mums, but it could be those mums might go into a career in technology when their kids are at school. But also there'll be role models for the other girls and women around them in terms of having women in technology role models. So it'll encourage other women to go back into the workplace or girls to consider a career in technology. So we tick both those boxes. So if we start with mums, we get the mums tech savvy, then that will mean that we get more tech-savvy people in general, people positive about technology, which will mean in organisations, gradually organisations will get more tech-savvy, and then the UK as a nation will be more tech-savvy, which will mean that in the future the whole country understanding technology to a greater extent than other countries will give us more competitive advantage in what is now a global marketplace, and a marketplace which is more and more dominated by technology and technology-related products and services. So, my organisation, Savify, our first initiative is called Tech Mums. So here am I with Emma and Claire, who work with me, and the idea of Tech Mums is to get mums and kind of flick that switch in their heads, so from a negative view of technology to a positive view of technology. And here we are in the classroom. So what we do is we take mums for 10 hours, 2 hours over 5 weeks, 2 hours a week over 5 weeks, so it's 10 hours altogether. We do, in the first week, we do like a basic orientation. We teach them about Gmail and Google Apps, documents, spreadsheets, that kind of thing. The second week, we do app design with them, so we do app design on paper, and then help them to produce that on the computer if they want to mock it up on the computer. And I have to say, so far we've had several good app ideas, one of which we're talking to the school about developing just this morning. So the mums are already coming up with really good ideas. The third week we do web design, so we teach them a little bit of HTML and then more kind of like drag and drop web design, because there are so many facilities around now that people can do that with. The fourth week is the class that I taught this morning, which was social media and online security. So we teach the mums all about social media, all the different platforms and what they can use them for, and online security, so we teach them how to stay safe online and how to keep their kids safe online. And then in the fifth week we teach them coding in Python, and we have a graduation, and they get the program's accredited by eSkills, so the mums get a certificate at the end of it. And we have all the mums in an online environment so that they can stay with us and ask us questions when they're not in the classroom. So when we ran the pilot, we also had the mums playing around with Raspberry Pis. And it was funny. So we did a survey on Mumsnet before we ran the pilot. And one of the questions was, would you like to do X, Y, Z in the class? And one of those things was programming or coding. And that got the lowest amount of yeses from the 1,000 mums. I think it was 2% of mums were interested in coding. And so Emma and Claire, who work with me, said, well, look, mums don't want to do it. We shouldn't have coding in there. It's too difficult. They don't want to do it. And I was like, we must have coding. We must have programming in there. I don't want the mums specifically to be programmers, but I want them to understand that basically computers work because you send them a list of instructions, so they just understand that that's kind of a basic thing that happens, and to kind of look at it and demystify it, I suppose. And so they agreed that we'd keep it in. And so after the first run-through of the pilot, we gave out questionnaires to all the mums and asked them which was the session that you liked most out of the 5 sessions, and they all, the highest, the most popular was coding, so I was very happy that we kept it in. So here are some of our mums. Here's Amina on my right. When she came in, she said she was scared of the computer, she was frightened of the keyboard. She said, I know what all these letter keys are, but what are those F ones at the top? I'm scared if I touch one of the F keys, something terrible is going to happen. And why would she not feel like that? Because whoever tells you that kind of stuff, you don't really, you just find out, don't you? So she's no longer scared of computers. And one of the things she really wanted to do, she runs a school uniform shop in Tower Hamlets. And she really wanted to be able to add attachments to emails. So something that's very basic to us. If no one ever tells you how to do that and no one around you is doing it, how do you find out how to do it? And she wanted to add attachments to emails because in her shop she needed to send samples to customers. And so what would happen is her son would come round to the shop after school and take the samples from his mum and go on the bus across London and deliver the samples to customers around London. And so if she could add attachments to emails, she could take photos of the sample, attach it to an email, and just email it through to the customers. And so now that she can do that, her son doesn't have to get on the bus every night and go around London delivering samples. So such a really, really simple thing can make a really, really big difference. Another one of our mums, Thelma here with the red T-shirt at the top, she got a job because using social media because of the course. And Gina at the bottom felt much more comfortable understanding what her children were doing online and not feeling that she had to try and stop them from doing everything because she was so scared of what they might get up to. So we had a researcher from Brunel come in each week during our pilot and give questionnaires out to the mums. And one of the things that surprised me, but then looking back is not surprising at all, is that the one thing that I really wanted was for the mums to understand technology more by the end of the classes and to feel more confident with technology. And that did improve, but actually the most significant improvement across the pilot was that the mums' general esteem went up. So that was the thing that changed the most, was their actual self-esteem. So the way they felt about themselves and their general confidence, which I think is amazing. The head teacher from the school, Nick Saw, said, well, he's now paying us to run it 3 times a year every term for their mums there. And he said that he noticed a change in the children, not just the mums, but in the children of the mums. And I have to say that, so we had a videographer come in week 1 and in week 5 to film the mums. And she said when she came back in week 5, having not seen them since the first week, she couldn't believe it was the same people because they look so different, so much more confident. So here are our mums. I'm hoping if I click this now, you can see our video. And I think that's a big problem. So at Savify, we've created Tech Mums. Tech Mums is all about helping women gain confidence and understand the opportunities that there are out there in the digital world. So in just 10 hours, we take mums through things like app design, social media, web design, programming on Raspberry Pis, and a bit of online security. Our aim is to help them understand what opportunities are out there and give them the confidence to be able to take those opportunities. I think workshops like this are really important because it's good to get people who kind of feel the same way about stuff together. I think so they were all scared of technology to start with, and so you don't have that feeling of going into a class where everyone knows more than you. Everyone knew that they didn't really know very much at all, and they were all a bit apprehensive.
My daughter was quite with it when it comes to computers, but I think, yeah, definitely have more confidence now in helping her with her homework.
I've learned basic skills, which I'm really pleased about. I don't feel afraid of computers anymore. I don't feel I'm an expert now, but I do feel I just want to jump into it.
One of the most important things I've learned to date is that even if I'm scared, push away the fear, just go for it. And I've got to say, so far, I'm really, really enjoying it.
The course, since we began, has gone really well. The conversations I've had with those mums and with the children of those mums has been brilliant, and how they now feel really confident that they've had a chance to design an app, that they've had a chance to look at online safety and be reassured that sometimes they're doing the right thing, perhaps sometimes they're not doing the right thing. Really, really pleased with the course and proud of it, proud of the mums, proud of their commitment. I would absolutely offer Tech Mums course again.
What I would really like to do is give this opportunity to everybody that wants it across the country or even across the world. But I think, I think we're getting there, and not just for the mums, but for the kids and the families and the whole kind of community. We're changing lives, and we want to change as many lives as possible. Yeah, so that's Tech Mums, and so I'd encourage you all to think about employing mums and to realise that technology is something that's changing more and more rapidly, and we need to look at new workforces. We need to think about doing things in different ways. I'm sure I'm preaching to the converted here, but and we need to try and get more female role models in technology. And starting with mums, I think, is the best place to start. So thanks very much.